Hi, and welcome back. This is part two of my making molds with silicone. So I'm going to be using silicone this time and mixing it with water and soap to make a film for on top of my mold. And this is when you're making a lampshade or something that's a three-dimensional shape. And as usual, I will have in the description page, I will talk about all the products that I do use to make this if you care to look there. For this, you will need to have nitrile gloves. You don't want to use silicone will stick to vinyl gloves. And you want to use dish soap. I use Dawn. And you want to use water, a bowl of water. And I've used various temperatures, but it doesn't seem to matter whether it's hot or cold. I like it warm because it's nicer on my hands to not be freezing while I'm making something, but it doesn't seem to really matter what the temperature is. So my daughter there is demonstrating this time, and so she has her nitrile gloves, and she put the Dawn soap all over her nitrile gloves and into the bowl with the water. So she's squishing in some silicone from a standard silicone tube, and she's going to be kneading the silicone into the soapy water. And basically, I don't know, it somehow reacts to each other and it gets thicker, so it's not like just the tube of silicone. It becomes kind of a putty you can work with. And you can add soap, more soap as you go. But as you see, this was started out as clear silicone. You can see it's already reacting to the soap and the water. Now, if desired, you can use alcohol dye or silicone pigment to color the silicone. So, because some people like to have a mold with some color to it. So we got some alcohol dye and squirted some on it and mixed it in, and you can see that it really did change the color of it quite quickly. And so she's just kind of like kneading it in. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Now she ended up using making some small batches of this silicone doughy stuff, and that works fine, or you could do the whole tube at once if you wanted to. But you can see it's not sticking to her gloves. It's reacting very nicely. And then we have a styrofoam ball that is has been cut in half, or maybe we only bought a half of one, I don't know. And we are covering this ball with a nice layer of this silicone stuff. Now, the idea that I want to do this is that I want to be able to put thumbtacks or pins into, yeah, you can use many small batches if you want. So what I like about doing this project and coating a styrofoam ball is that you can put your pins into the styrofoam ball to hold your glass while you're making your lampshade. But you also, the layer of silicone gives like a barrier, like a heat barrier, and it won't melt the styrofoam ball. So it's just a great way to make an inexpensive base for your project. And it's kind of fun. So she's put on a couple of layers, and now she's making the last batch. Now, when we did this, we had plenty of working time to do this. I think it took us like less than a half hour to do this project, and there was plenty of time. It didn't start like getting solid, or it was still movable, so you kind of like slide it down the slope and get it all smoothed out. I think when I was done, we waited a couple days before I actually used it. I didn't really I didn't really like test it to see how long, if I wanted to start soldering on the thing like within a few hours, if that was too quick a time or not. I didn't really like worry about that. I just waited a couple days. So while you're trying to smooth it, just use more soapy water, and then it smooths out very nicely. Just keep, playing with it and patting it, and it works great. And I used one standard tube of silicone, so it didn't use a lot. And this is when it's done. It's nice and sturdy. Yes, I didn't go all the way to the bottom, but went far enough. And these are thumbtacks. I actually like to cover my thumbtacks with a thin coat of silicone on their own so that they aren't hot when you pick them up. Now you might want to find the center of your ball after you're done making it. And what you can do is if you take a piece of paper and you draw on the paper a circle, or your board that you put your styrofoam ball on, and draw a square and diagonals out from it, and then use wire or string with pins, you can, by crossing them over the styrofoam, find the center. And this is a lampshade that I previously used with the styrofoam and the silicone on top of it. And I did a lamp out of this one. This was a different size ball. And having that layer of silicone really makes it nice, because you can still pin into your ball, but you don't have the problem of your styrofoam melting. Now, I wanted to make a lamp with concentrical circles all the way around it. So what I decided was I would mark it first before I covered it with silicone, because then I don't have to try to mark the silicone. So I used different kinds of strings and metal as my compass to draw circles. And then for the other direction, I stabbed the center. Well, first of all, I used one of the circles I drew as a guide for where I was going to cut it. So I cut it flat because I wanted to be able to, have it on a board. And then to mark the lines in the other direction, I stabbed a paintbrush into the middle, where I decided the center of the ball is. And then I had different metal hoops that I leaned against it, and then with a Sharpie marker drew rays going the other directions to give me some variety to use in the future when I'm doing a lamp. And so this is the finished product with the clear silicone over it. And this is going to be very handy for a lamp. This method just works great. It's easy to pin into, it's heat resistant, and you can use it again and again and again. So this is a lamp that I'm making with sea glass, and I'm soldering on some different pieces of sea glass, and I'm using the styrofoam mold that I just made by pinning. As you can see, I have some regular pins stabbing into the styrofoam, and I will show this lamp later on. It's going to have some seashells at the bottom of it, and right now it looks kind of grudgy because it has all the flux on it, but it ended up working. It's working very nicely. But see, the pins just pin right into that, and you can hold it in place. So that's just very handy. And now please watch part 3, because in part 3 I will show this method over a balloon. Thanks for watching.